Hi, I'm Jill Johnson Young. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in Riverside, California. And I am talking to you today because COVID has recurred in a big way here in the Western United States, which is where I am. And it's recurring in some other areas as well. And it's taking everyone by storm. Now, because I'm a grief therapist and I am relatively well known, I'm getting contacts from people all over the country who are all of a sudden losing loved ones and multiple loved ones to this disease. People who were healthy 2 weeks ago, people who were doing all the right things and now are sick. We might have known this was coming when things started opening up. This is not a political kind of a video here, folks. But we didn't know that this was coming for our loved ones. And that's what's important. Whether or not we could see the numbers rolling toward us, you never see it rolling right toward your house, right? And that's not denial in terms of grief. That is the reality of this is such a different situation, and it's something we've not faced before. We've only had it in our world that we're aware of since January, and it's the end of June right now, folks. I know it feels like forever. It's not. And there are people losing their loved ones. And when we lose loved ones to COVID, we typically can't be there with them because they're in a hospital, and they can't have visitors because it's dangerous. And the hospital doesn't have room for visitors because every bed is full and every staff person is beyond busy. And truly, my thoughts go out to all the staff people who were absorbing all of the angst and all of the grief and all of the grief that they can't do anything more than what they're doing because there's nothing more that can be done. This is a disease that has a mind of its own and is doing a lot of things at a lot of different levels. And there's no way to know what's coming next. So, first, to all of you in the hospitals and all the first responders and all the last responders, my heart goes out to you, and I thank you on behalf of everybody I'm hearing from in the last couple of days. For those of you who have just lost someone to COVID, first, let me just extend my deepest sympathy doesn't even cut it, and as a grief therapist, I don't use sympathy. My heart's there, and I wish there was something more I could do other than just be here and let you know that there are people thinking of you. And I'm going to try and give you some tips on how to cope, because this is all new turf for everybody, right? When you are first facing a loss, you're also going to lose how you think, what you think, your ability to calm your emotions down, your ability to sleep and eat properly, your ability to tolerate other people's nonsense. It just all flies out the window, and that's because grief hits us emotionally and cognitively and physically and spiritually. All the big pieces of our lives all at once. And with COVID, we're doing it by ourselves. I'm talking to you from my house. I'm not in my office. And if I'm going to see you as a grief client, I'm going to see you just like this. You're not going to see your relatives in person because you've been exposed to COVID. So those of you who are grieving in a very different way than we would have 8 months ago, 7 months ago. There can't be people coming by and hugging you long and tight as much as they should, because a real grief hug is 45 seconds. That's a 4 and a 5. 45 seconds long. Super hard, super tight, not patting, holding. That's a grief hug. That can't happen right now. Get your mask on. You can't even see the expressions of the folks who are coming on to talk to you if they're coming to your driveway and talking to you from however many feet away that you can keep them. Because if you've been around someone with COVID who's died, you're a risk to other people now, which doesn't feel really good. And I get that. Slight note, I had COVID in March. and I'm better now, but it's not a fun disease. And I count my blessings for still sitting here. So you are doing this grief alone, or with just the people in your immediate household, or the people you consider your household of choice. I want you to be able to be very aware of what this process is doing to you. It's going to take away your ability to think clearly, because your head's going to feel like between your skull and your brain there's cotton batting or bubble wrap. Not the good bubble wrap you can pop. It's in there and you can't get to it, right? And thoughts just don't come the way they should. Words don't come the way they should. Nothing comes the way it should. You have to make decisions, a lot of decisions, snap, snap, snap decisions. Actually, you don't. Put the brakes on those decisions. If your loved one has already died, the hospital will tell you the bare basics that they need from you to take care of things. And then you can put everything on hold for at least 24 hours. You don't have to make all the decisions. I know it feels like you do. Trust me, I'm married to a funeral director. You don't. You can take a moment and breathe. You can take a moment and talk to the people who you trust to perhaps have a better sense of what's what than you do right now. Because while your loved one was in the hospital dying, you weren't doing okay. You weren't sleeping well. You were on pins and needles because you couldn't be there. We are taught when someone is sick to make the chicken soup and to show up and to feed them and bundle them and hold their hand, and you could do none of that. And that hurts. And it makes us feel like we weren't there the way we're supposed to be. And the reality is that programming has to turn off, because it's not like it used to be. It may go back to it, but right now, right in this moment, it's not like it used to be. You did what you could in that moment with what you had, with what was going on. And that is the very best anybody could ask of you. Let me say that again. You did the very best with what you had in that moment. And that's the most anybody could ask or expect of you. It's the most you would probably expect of anyone else. So let's start setting that guilt aside right now. Grief will hit you physically. It's going to make you tired beyond measure. It's going to make you not hungry or crave carbohydrates, because carbs feel good when we feel bad. And you know what? Have the carbs. Have them delivered. Have them deliver all the carbs. Put a little something on top. If you're going to eat cheese crackers, just put some peanut butter on it. It's got some protein, right? Good enough. Have the ice cream. It's got dairy. Throw something on top of it. Multi-meal, something you'll have a little bit of a sort of a meal. Give in to the indulgences for a short time. You deserve them. This is a tough time. And you're not going to have people coming by with all the stuff that we normally do. Now, if you're really lucky, you'll have some friends who will drop off some frozen meals. And if they do, I want you to encourage yourself to eat some, because you need to get some protein in your body, because you're at risk of getting sick too. Because that's the new part of COVID grief. Not only are you grieving, you're at risk of getting sick. So we need you to take care of yourself, to listen to your body, to keep track of any symptoms you might be having, and to stay in touch with your doctor, and to stay away from the other folks who might also have been exposed, because some of you may get sick and some of you may not. Right? So physically tired, exhausted, grouchy, not a lot of really good thought process. Don't drive the car because your brain is not connected properly and you're not going to get your foot off the gas and to the brake fast enough. And you don't need to do that. We don't need an accident right now. Got my first red light ticket 2 days after my first wife died. I didn't even look at the light. I was turning right to get on the freeway. I was in my own lane. There was nobody there. There was a camera. That's who was there. Because you're not connecting the dots. And you may not for a long time. Don't sign important papers. Don't make the big plans till you've consulted other people that you trust. And start circling the wagons so that you're going to be in charge of your grief process. Because this is your grief. The others have their grief. This is your grief. You need to decide how you're going to do it. Right now, that just means giving yourself that break to take care of yourself and take a breath. Spiritually, sometimes people get hit too with grief because lots of people say lots of things that are intended to be helpful right in these first moments. And what you're hearing versus what they think they're saying are two different things. You're not thinking that they're in a better place. A better place would be home and not COVID. Alive, not dead. God didn't need another angel and didn't need yours. You shouldn't be grateful that they're no longer in pain because they shouldn't have been in pain because they shouldn't have gotten COVID. But you're hearing all the stuff and a lot of the platitudes, which are intended in all the best ways, are usually grounded in someone's faith. I'm not dissing faith, but it hurts when you say those things and it hurts when you receive them. So, if it starts to challenge your faith, let it be. It may come back. This is not the time to start worrying about it. It is the time to make sure that you're not snapping people's heads off because they look at you twice. If you start doing that, head for your room and take a nap. Put on some music that's soothing to you. Or beach sounds, because now the beaches are closed. But beach sounds, lullabies, the music that made you feel good when you were a kid or now, or that remind you of the person who died in a good way. Grab a blankie, cuddle up, right? When we were little, what did we do when we didn't feel good, when we were homesick from school? The blankie, the television, a bowl of ice cream, or a comic book, the dog, the cat, the teddy bear. This is grief. It's immediate. You've had a sudden loss. Your way. You get to decide. Go back to the basics of what feels good. Go outside for half an hour and get some sun. It'll help reset your brain. And don't expect to sleep all night, because people who are grieving don't sleep from about 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. most days, which means you're going to need a nap. So see if you can find a way to relax enough to get a nap. Circle your wagons, talk to your friends, write in a journal. Don't move too fast. Don't make too many decisions too fast. Right now, it's take care of you, take care of your health, make plans slowly, and know that you did the very best you could with what you had in that moment. Your loved one was taken care of where they were, and there's nothing more you could have done. And they were very lucky to have you sitting and worrying for them. They knew it. They knew you were thinking, even if you couldn't be there. I thank you for listening. You can find me at www.jilljohnsonyoung.com for more information about grief and loss, and to reach me by email as well. Take good care. Bye-bye.